at my fingertips. Before then, me calling a doctor was to make an appointment. Now I'm calling a doctor or two or three because they're friends of mine and they're part of my network. And that's what happened when you reach outside your ordinary network, you begin to expand. And I'm tapping into their education. I'm tapping into their network, and it's allowing me to expand my ability to do what I do. And it's made me a better entrepreneur. It's made me a better person. And it would do the same thing for you. So we're always encouraging folks to join the network and become a part of the network. It's 100% free, but it expands your reach. And it will allow you to be more intelligent in answering questions, because when you don't have the answer, you know someone that does. And that allows me to speak very confident because I have a strong network and I am extending it to you. So if you haven't already, I just released an ebook. And that ebook talks about the mindset of an entrepreneur, but it also speaks about self-development and some of the questions that you should ask yourself. And in that workbook, and in that ebook, it is a work assignment. It is a workbook at the last page. So by the end of the show, go to the homepage and download the ebook. Bridget, Ronnie, one of you guys can post the link on how to get to the ebook. Don't go now. Go at the end of the show. And I got a special guest I'm going to bring on. We're going to continue this conversation. So, listen. How you doing, Jazz? Thanks for joining. Y'all keep sharing that link because we're going to get down in nitty gritty. So, I'm not going to really harp on so much of the coaching until I bring my guests on. But one of the things I really want to speak about is self-development and how important it is. I can remember in 2018 was the first time that I ever paid to attend a coaching event or a live speaking event. Now, I had watched them on YouTube and things of that nature, but this is the first time I really invested. It was a hefty price, but man, what a major investment. I had an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with the amazing, one of the best speakers in the entire world, Mr. Les Brown. And, it was life-changing for me to attend that event. It was an investment that allowed me to be the man that I am. And the return on that investment allows me to be able to speak candidly about the power of investing in yourself. Now, a whole lot of people out there that are making promises that they can change your life and how they could, with just one click of a finger and you pay me this much and I can make your life better and I can, put you in a situation to be a millionaire, and there's all these different things out there. So I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying, just be cautious. One of the best people that can advise you, in my opinion, or coach you, or that have been in the most pain. And the reason why I say that is because, I do not want a perfect person who doesn't have any flaws, who haven't been through any strife, who hasn't witnessed or haven't been a part of it, and haven't had to build through something or plow through something. That person that have a great life wouldn't be a good coach or mentor for me. A good mentor or coach for me, for Richard Adams, would be someone that has been in tremendous amount of pain and have suffered loss and have been taken advantage of, have been backstabbed and have been ridiculed and spoken about, and rumors. And so that, to me, someone that has been able to plow through that and become very successful makes a very good coach, because they're leading from a place of nomenclature, and they are probably more reasonable in giving you advice on what direction to go with your life. and because they have some tangible experiences. I'm not saying those who haven't been there wouldn't be great coaches. I'm just thinking, for me, I want somebody that could feel what I felt. So if y'all hear me say, you know what I mean? You feel me? I'm literally saying, like, can you feel what I'm saying? Because I want to know if you can feel what I'm saying. Put a 1 in the comments if you are tracking with this conversation. And at about 7:30, I'm going to bring my guests on, and then we'll continue this conversation. But I just want to have a dialogue. I kind of want to set the room and the temperature of the room to start thinking about self-development. And if you're in your 80s, if you're a teenager or who's ever listening, the best investment that you can ever embark on is into yourself. And the best person to help you do that is someone that has similar or at least some knowledge on what it takes to transform from where you are to where it is that you want to be. And typically that's going to be by involving yourself into some type of network, some type of community, and expanding your community. And in that workbook, if you guys can put that link in there before the end of the show, in that workbook, one of the things that I task folks with doing is every week meet at least one person that's outside of your network. Once a week, meet someone that doesn't do what you do, doesn't work where you work, doesn't know who you know, and has a completely different perspective than you. You can have similar mindsets, similar traits, similar desires, but meet someone outside of your network. And this is how you expand. Because if you're constantly hanging with the same people, you're constantly around the same folks, you're going to get the same results. So to step outside your network and what's common to you is what stretches you and puts you in a place where, you know what, you realize that the life that we live, although we think that ours is unique to us, it may not be so unique when you step outside of your network. So, you know, if you're a school teacher, for example, you know, stop hanging out with other teachers because you're exchanging pain amongst each other, which could be therapeutic, but at the same time, someone outside the network probably can expand your thought process. Someone that's not a school teacher. You know, when I was a police officer, that's what they would do. And when I was in law enforcement, I was a correction officer as well. What we would do is during work, we would talk about the job. And then after work, we would go somewhere else, hang out, and talk about the job. So I was never able to escape what it was I was dealing with because I kept dealing with the same people that was dealing with the same issues. So, you know, when you start hanging out with different people, you start getting different perspectives. So I want to encourage you to, I don't know why somebody says keep repeating. Hold on one second. Thanks for that info. It keeps repeating what you're saying twice. I put a 1 if you're hearing me clear, and let me know if it's repeating itself. I have no idea why I would be doing that. All right, put a 1 if you're hearing me okay. Hopefully it's not repeating itself. Put a 1 in the chat room if you can hear me okay. And it's not repeating itself. Thanks for the heads up. Listen, that's what love is all about. We're live on the radio, and we're talking about self-development and why it's important to to invest in yourself, and regardless of where you are in your life, try to step outside your network and meet someone that you've never met before, so they can lead you into a place where you've never been, and you can meet some other people that can help influence you and probably help expedite you reaching your goal and your dream, or that level of happiness that you've always desired. So thanks for those ones coming in. I'm going to pause for a few seconds, and then I'll be back with our surprise guest. So y'all stand by, all right? Appreciate all the ones. All right. Like I said, we're in hybrid mode, so I'm broadcasting from two places, which is the restaurant and the studio. So we're actually fine-tuning everything. So make sure that you stay in tune. Hey, listen, I got some exciting news coming up. We have some new personalities that we're bringing to the show. We're going to fill up the days, and then we're changing the schedule around, and we have new members, and we're going to be doing some wonderful things. Actually, I'm going to be co-hosting with another personality, and that's going to be great. It's going to be great. So ladies, get ready for it. Gentlemen, get ready for it. We're bringing more people to the stage, more dynamic people, more dynamic conversations. So we're going to stretch. And if you remember me saying in the beginning of the year that it was time to grow, it's time to stretch, and that's exactly what we are doing. So without further ado, I am going to welcome to the stage the one and only who needs no introduction. Y'all give a round of applause for MSC's own, very own, Dr. Marcea. Say what's up to everybody, Dr. Marcea.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to be on with Rich Live tonight, and I wanted to say hello to Rich Live's listeners. It's an honor and a pleasure to be in this space, talking about something that I love to talk about. So I'm ready to get into it. Let's go.
So you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right. Y'all put a one if y'all can hear Dr. Marcea. Yes. Put a one. All right. So You were listening to this conversation behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and you heard me speak about investing into yourself and how this was just my opinion. We didn't rehearse this conversation so you guys know. We never do. We just kind of flow together because speaking is what we do. So you heard me speak about the healthcare system, how I thought it would be a good idea on adding self-development or at least coaching, life coaching, as one of the benefits or healthcare plans. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is a great idea. And I hope, I wonder if you can get that passed. The one thing that is part of the healthcare system from some health plans is health coaching.
Mm,
Okay. And so as I say that, I am both a health coach and a life coach. And so I have operated in that space. However, your comment was on life coaching, and I believe that that is probably more important than health coaching, because the way that I look at it is that a lot of the health concerns, because I heard you say high blood pressure, I heard you say diabetes, I heard you say stress, I heard you, I think you may have mentioned being overweight, right? All of those things come from life's problems. And so we're chasing numbers and blood tests and all the other things. But what if we dealt with the life stuff and allowed that to be changed, that to be normalized? Now, that not maybe not normalized, though, just to be brought down to a level that is healthy. And then by default, the health stuff would then also fall into place.
thank you, thank you, thank you for that, because I think it makes a lot of sense. Um, when we start speaking about mental illness, when we start speaking about other things that lead to those health issues, a lot of those things I think not as not looked at as significant as they should be. The underlining
Mhm.
things, the grassroots things, and if we dealt with that, um, you would be amazed at how it could make a difference in your life. I was listening to a show the other day on. Um, they were speaking about trafficking, human trafficking, and during the conversation on human trafficking, one of the experts said they alluded to the fact that entrepreneurship was one of the leading things that they found that could prevent human trafficking. And I think a lot of that alluded to, and I can understand why. Because when you're becoming an entrepreneur, most often you're chasing your dreams or your desires and your goals, which kind of puts your focus more into yourself and developing the things that you want to develop. So therefore, the distractions outside that takes you away from what it is. The thing that now this is not part of the kidnapping part. Like you can't do anything about that. But the ability to be lured as a young person, lured into something that you typically would not have time or pay attention to, and that's what they were kind of getting to. But I get it, and the point was it was about self empowerment, because when you're pursuing something that you desire, when you're pursuing a dream, a goal, and a vision, sometimes you're just laser focused and don't want anything to take you away from that. But I just thought that was something that was unique that was said about.
Yeah, so I would need to know.
That
I'm
was
intrigued by that article, passage, whatever that came from. The thing that I will take away from that and speak on is that what you said about, you said entrepreneurship as you're going to your passion. I'm going to add, it doesn't necessarily, I don't think, have to be entrepreneurship, but it has to be what you're passionate about. Some people
right.
aren't passionate about entrepreneurship. They may be passionate about becoming a doctor or becoming a nurse or going to a third world country to do disaster relief. I think it just depends on what your passion is. The problem, though, the problem I see, and I want to say, there's some listeners who were shouting me out, so I'm gonna say hi to music. Good to see you, Veronica, Ronnie. Welcome. So the thing is that when you're pursuing your passion, and this also includes entrepreneurship, it requires work. It requires sacrifice. It is also going to sometimes require failure in some areas. And I think part of where we are, or some of us where we are, we don't want to do the work, or the work gets too hard. And even you talked about self-development, even self-developing is hard. If you're in a chat and you realize that developing self is hard, put a 2. Okay, put a 2 in the chat if you agree with that. And I think some of us are afraid. Some of us don't know how. And that's the space that I think coaching fits, where you just don't know how. But as you mentioned earlier, if you can find somebody who has been through what you've been through, or has developed a process to carry you from where you are to where you want to be, that's where you start. And then you have to lean in and allow that person or that group, whether it's whatever the networking piece, to kind of help guide you to the next stage.
I agree. So eloquently put. So, the whole topic is about self-empowerment, bettering yourself in coaching, and understanding the power of coaching, but also the power of the ability to invest into what you believe in, and to have someone help you cultivate to become the individual that you can be. And the way I describe it is that most people do not tap into consulting, or hiring a consultant, or coaching, or anything that will help them self-develop. And I think it's a sign to some folks that, one, it may not work. Two, why do I need it? Three, it's a sign of weakness to some folks. And one thing I noticed, like at my highest peak of my career in law enforcement, and you guys have heard me speak about, I've been on international stages before, and I've spoken on so many major platforms and even universities, just like Dr. Marcea. One of the things I notice is that they invest seriously into being coached, and they take consulting very seriously, where we tend to do that as a last resort, where they, when I say they, I mean those with a different mindset, tend to do it as a first result. So I'm going to say that again. I'm going to let you expand on that. We typically take coaching, consulting, and self-development as a last result, and others do it as a first result. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So let's stay with the topic, which is self-development. And when we think of self-development, we think it's something that we do by ourselves.
That's good.
Okay. And so that's when we go out and we buy all of the books. Okay. There's a whole self-help section in Barnes and Noble, in the library. I mean, tons and tons and tons of self-help books. And I don't know about y'all, but I buy the book and I start reading, and I might get to chapter 1, depending on how the flow is. I might get stopped, but I don't get very, very far in the book. I can't think of a book that I've read all the way through, okay, that was self-help. And we lose something. We lose it along the way because We haven't, we're trying to do it ourselves. Okay. And so that's the second thing I'm going to say is that we subscribe to the DIY. Okay. Somebody put DIY in the chat. Okay. It's the do it yourself version. Because why? We think we can do it ourselves. It's cheaper. We can get the same results. We can split that money 6 different ways and get a vacation, self-help, buy a car, send somebody to school, and we can spend that money 6 different ways. But the thing I want you to think about any athlete, okay? Think about at any level, what do they have? Okay, what do the NBA players have? What do the baseball players have? What do the boxers have? There was a big fight over the weekend. What do they have? What do the Little League players have? Somebody put that in the chat. What do they have? What do the speakers? What do the Fortune 500 companies, the CEOs? What do they have? If you swim, right, what do they have? And if the bottom line to all of this is that they have a coach. So how do we get it right in all of those things? Even in school, sometimes people need a tutor, okay, which is a coach, okay? How do we get it right in all of these other areas, but then we get it wrong in life?
That's big. That's big. That's big. So, while we're waiting on those numbers to come in, let me ask you this question. What are some of the consistent things that you run across, while you're doing your coaching consulting? What do you find the commonality in people on why they don't, invest into themselves and self-development and coaching?
So there's different ways to answer that question. I'm gonna use it in the setting of, say that you offer coaching to somebody, okay? And I'm gonna say this other thing is that in order to be a candidate for coaching, you have to want to be coached. So that takes away, that kind of slices the number, slices the pie, okay? And the reasons why people don't lean into an investment, and it really isn't about the money, because if your child needed a life-saving surgery, you would find the money. Would you not? Okay? If you need to go all the way across the world to get somebody who was stranded or whatever, you would find it. Get somebody out of jail, you would find the money. So it isn't the money. The money is just I'm going to say it's an excuse. Okay? It's a convenient excuse. Okay? But the 3 reasons why someone does not kind of lean into it, if they believe, if they've gone that step to say, hey, I want to learn more. One is that they don't believe in themselves. Okay, and that's sometimes related to how much we value ourselves. Okay, because we are running around saving other people, but then we're killing ourselves or allowing ourselves to be killed. Okay, so we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in the coach. Okay, based on whatever reason, maybe how they showed up, what grand plans or results they shared, okay, or promised, or they don't believe in the program or the container. And so those are I think the 3 main reasons why the folks that I come across do struggle or do not step into that coaching route.
Awesome. Good answer. Good answer. The DIY. I like the DIY. Do it yourself. I have been a suspect of a DIY, and I have dropped out of DIY because, that's a good point that you make. The DIY is that, when we look at these tutorials and we look at TV, everything looks so easy. Oh, I could do that. You could do it. And yes, to some things. I remember not long ago, there was a plumbing issue. And I was like, oh, that pipe is really easy. So I fixed it. Matter of fact, yeah, it was in my last house in South Florida about 3 years ago. So there was a leak, and I fixed it, and I felt like a king. And everyone was proud of me. And I came home from work, and I had to swim into the house because I did it myself.
Did it yourself?
So I watched YouTube. It showed me how to do it, but there were some components that I didn't understand, which was the pressure, the type of fittings. I just wanted the leak to go away. So it was, yep. So I needed, I felt like I was a duck walking into my home. It was on the front porch before I can get in. The point of the matter is this is not to discourage anyone to not do it yourself. Just understand if you're going to do it yourself, that you should have some nomenclature or some in-depth experience. And to answer to answer the same question from my perspective is that a lot of people don't feel that they need it or it's warranted. And in that plumbing situation for me, I didn't feel like it was warranted. But a $5 fixture ended up being thousands of dollars in mistakes. So I'm sure some of y'all can relate. So you got to know if you're going to do it yourself. The worst type of counsel for me is when I self-counsel. Because, I'm making an emotional decision based on the emotional things that I'm dealing with. So it's always good to reach out to someone who has a different perspective than you. So that's my spiel on that. What are your thoughts on the DIY thing and why people shouldn't try to do it themselves?
So there is, I'm going to say, it's like I'm not sure if it's a relay race. I'm trying to get the right. We're not saying that you can't help yourself. Okay? We're not saying that. What I'm saying is that, one, you should be congratulated for getting yourself to where you are. Okay? And we have gotten to the place where we are because of the skill set, because of the tenacity, because of what we have done. Because sometimes we do ask for help. We get help. Okay? But what happens is that we're operating in this area right here. Okay? But in order to go to the next level, you have to have something new. There has to be an infusion of some new skills, some new training, some new risk, some new insight. There has to be something different because you've already have exhausted what you can do yourself. Now, if that's where you want to live, then you're good. You stay there. And again, I'm going to say the coaching only works if you want more. Okay, I remember when Tiger Woods, he was killing it in his golf game. But all of a sudden we hear that he decided he was going to change his swing. And we're like, Tiger Woods, he put CPR into the golf industry. Nobody was watching golf before, in my community, nobody was watching golf before Tiger Woods came through. And so all of a sudden now he's winning. He got the green coat and all that kind of stuff. And now he's going to change his swing. Why? Because he wanted more. And so by doing so, he had to hire some people who were going to come in, assess his swing, and change it up. Tiger couldn't do it by himself. But what happened was that Tiger started to suck, right? he lost he lost some stuff. He lost a step because he was working on his new swing. Okay, until he was now able to perfect it. And so now he was back in the game again. And so whatever reason, I never found out what the reason was of why he needed to change it, but now he was winning again. And so that is the learning curve. We have to have someone else who has perspective on our problem. When we think when we're in it, this little thing, I'm gonna say little in quotes, this little thing is magnified. But when you have someone who has perspective, now our thing is now manageable, and they can speak to it and say, hey, okay, I see where you're going. You're doing here, you're going there, but I think you turn left. What do you think about turning right? And so when we do that, now we can now elevate. We can break that ceiling and now get to the place where now we are killing it back on the PGA Tour.
Great example. Great example. So, not to harp so much on coaching, it's about self-development, right? So it's always empowering to listen. We're always trying to give positive messages, and some of the messages may be conducive to who you are and where you are at this, at the place that you are. But the takeaway for me is just understand, like, sometimes in life you get stuck, and sometimes you want to get to the next level. And like a lot of folks, I wouldn't say a lot, yeah, quite a bit of folks that I coach, it's like, man, how do you know so much? Well, I've had people pour into me, right? So I've invested into things and resources and classes and things of that nature so that I can be at this point of my life where I am so well versed in so many different areas, but I wasn't always where I'm at. And there's still a long way for me to go, but I'm saying that sometimes self-development and connecting yourself to networks and organizations and things that will help you propel to whatever level you want to be at. So even if you're in a new community, believe it or not, someone's coaching you. Let's say you move to a new neighborhood. Someone's telling you the law of the land, when to put your trash out. Someone's coaching you on how things run in this community and what the HOA is looking for and what will get you, So every part of your life, whenever there's a new level, you should probably be seeking some level of counsel outside of the norm. And it's also healthy, too, because you develop better relationships with people. And then basically, I call it the box theory. Sometimes you know how to put things in perspective in boxes when you deal with people outside of the norm. And so that's a key thing. That's a key thing to understand. Tell them how it is that you do what you do, and how to get engaged in the process if they're interested in taking whatever it is they want to do to the next level, and how can you be an asset to them in your community, in your world.
So the first thing I want to say is that I struggled a lot in life. Okay. And I struggled in relationships. I struggled in standing up for myself. I struggled with making decisions and being settled in my decision and not always second guessing. And once I figured out that there was a place, there's a container for how to self-develop, that where I wasn't doing it myself, that's where things started to open up. And as I learned these skills and changed the mindset, changed how I viewed situations and what they meant, because that's That's the big thing. When we can change what something means, we can have something that's done to us or experience something, but once we change what it means, and we can now change how we respond to it. And so that is what I do. It's now my passion to help people who need some place to bounce some stuff off. It's kind of like a best friend without there being judgment, without there being, the people where those family members where you can't tell people what happened in your house. You can't tell someone what happened in your job, because they will never forget, and they will never forgive somebody who you may now have forgiven, because they just can't. So you have to be careful what you say. Okay, so that is part of what I do. I listen. I do a lot of listening when I'm coaching, to try to understand where you are and then kind of move you through. So if you are interested, if you need more information, just check out my website, and it is www.drmarcea.com. That's DRMARCEA. I do free consultations just to kind of see where you are, see if it's a good fit, and then we decide from there.
Awesome. Awesome. So it's good. So you have resources, you have people here. We're here every Tuesday, 7 and 8 o'clock, giving information, just sharing nuggets and trying to empower each other. And you guys are more strength to us than you can imagine. To have you guys log on and just receive this information and share with us, and bring people back with you, that is paramount. And because of the things that we've been doing, we've been expanding. So we are probably in almost every state in the United States, and we're heard in at least 7 countries around the world. So it's because of the content and the power of the information, but the power of referral and you guys sharing the information that we're sharing. So we want you to keep doing that, and we're doing some great things. Hey, listen, real quick, plug tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard and 8 o'clock a.m. Central. I would be a guest on the one and only Bridget. Bridget Gibson has a show. It's called The Everyday Warrior, and I'll be her special guest, and I'll be speaking about the power of purpose and entrepreneurship and how it's all relative. And she has a large following, so I'm expecting a great turnout tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Make sure you tune in to this network or her show, and it would be a great conversation. So, moving to the next part of this conversation, we spoke so much about self-development and how important it is to invest into yourself. And the reason why, I'm going to recap, is we're speaking about self-development and coaching, mentorship, just getting a consultant. And when I say consultant, I'm not necessarily speaking of like hiring one that's on retainer. I'm just saying that, hey, if you got something that you want to look into, it's always good to consult with someone before you actually make a major move or things of that nature. So, and we're talking about self-development, self-empowerment. That is the base of this whole entire network and what it's built on. And we're hoping that you guys would leave with something or bring someone back to receive some of the information. It is rare that we get an opportunity to speak to a doctor and ask questions like we're going to do right now. Ask the doctor, ask me. I've seen a lot, been through a lot, have a lot of life experiences. Please feel free. If you agree with me, Dr. Marcea, this is a great opportunity for us to elicit their response, their comments, and their questions. Please put them in the chat.
Yes. So this is, I guess, part 2 of the discussion. And we do want you to put your comments in the chat. If you have a question, if you have a comment, if you have I'm gonna call it a life situation that you have that you want to get some advice on, this is the container, this is the space, this is your opportunity to to come to ask the questions and to get some guidance. And this is an example of what coaching does. And I'm going to piggyback on what Rich said earlier, is that this isn't all about coaching. A lot of times what you need is just to come out of the room that you're in. Okay, you know what that saying that says you are the sum or the average of the top 5 people you spend your most time with. Okay, so I want you to think about those 5 people who you spend your time with, and you are the average. Okay, but what happens when you step out of that room and you go into a room where there are people who have different ideas? And sometimes it is just that one conversation. Sometimes it is just a word they speak. Maybe they just said, you know what, maybe you need to pause, or they ask a powerful question that makes you say, let me think about this a different way. So I think the bottom line is coming out of your comfort zone, stretching yourself a little bit more, asking questions, looking to a mentor, doing something different than what you've been doing. In order to get someplace you haven't been before, you have to do some things you haven't done before. And that's what I'll say.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So while I'm waiting on the questions, I want to speak to the ability to listen and how you listen and how do you receive information. I just want to shout out everybody that takes the time to listen to what we're saying. Those of you, not everyone, but those of you that are tentatively listening and that are listening with an open heart and an open mind. And then there's also, to be a good coach, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to always get it right. Your goal is to help people get outside of their head and to make whatever it is they're dealing with, or whatever it is that they want to do, to kind of motivate them into that space. So coaches typically don't have to be subject matter experts at any particular thing, but maybe they're good at what they do in the form of coaching. And with that being said, you have the listening heart. You can discern the information that you're receiving, and you know what to do with the information that you're receiving. And, listen to learn, listen to be organized. And a lot of people, including myself, like when I get overwhelmed, it's my brain it's like a scrambled egg effect. So I'm extremely bright, intelligent, smart. I've achieved a whole lot in my life. That's right. I'm tooting my own horn. So I have a lot of accomplishments. Right? But at the end of the day, I don't know it all. And I won't always get it right. And I won't always be perfect, but I have changed the dynamics of so many lives by utilizing the space to make a difference in those folks' lives. But the only way that is possible is for them to listen for what I get right and not listen to what I get wrong. Because I coach mature people. I coach people that are good candidates for next level. And a lot of those people may be higher up the food chain than what I am in life. But the idea is that you help people organize their passions, their thoughts, and their ideas. And yes, you may be less than perfect. You might get some dates wrong or some examples or things of that nature, but you're listening with the right kind of heart, you're going to receive everything that you need to receive. And you'll be in the right place. You'll know. You'll feel it. because your heart would be able to receive the information, because the information is coming from a great place. So, with that being said, I'm going to wait on these questions to come in. Hopefully, y'all just flood us with questions. But thank you, Dr. Marcea, for allowing me to, bring you in early on my platform. And now we just kind of flooded over into your platform and kept this conversation going. Hey,
Yeah.
we want to hear from you. Please ask questions.
So what I wanted to do, I wanted to just to welcome everyone to, this is now Up Sis Up. This is Women's Empowerment Radio. I'm Dr. Marcea. And what we do here is we empower women, okay? And I want to be clear that we don't empower women at the sake of the men, right? So I celebrate the men in the space. I celebrate Rich for being my special guest on this segment, and I celebrate the men that are in the chat. Daryl, he gave some good information a little bit ago about Tiger Woods, and he's always in the chat. And I think that cat Dave, and I think there's some other gentlemen who may be listening that are also in the chat. But what we do is that the purpose is to help women to rise up, help them to speak up, and then help them to boss up. And what I do as a master destiny life coach is that I help professional women who are trapped in their personal prison of life. And that can be for multiple reasons, from relationships, from the career. But most of the time, it is just in how we have been programmed to operate. We've been programmed to take care of everybody else but ourselves. And so we get to that place where we start, we're juggling all the balls, and the balls start to drop. And we feel responsible. We feel guilty when we're unable to do X, Y, Z, while we can't be in 16 places at one time. And that isn't something that someone else did. We did it to ourselves a lot of times. And that's why I call it the personal prison. And so what I do is I help you to discover who you are, decide what you now want, and then deliver on your destiny. And so I want to, again, open up the chat to, if you have a question about what it is that, because Rich is also a coach, what we do, what's the process, and even talk about some of the things, because I like to share, like, some of the things that people come to me and we end up talking about. I can say the things that people come to me for may not always be what we end up coaching on, because there's usually an issue underneath the surface. And it takes some time for me to hear what is happening, for me to now to peel back the onion, open up the flower to see what's at the core. So sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it is finding your purpose. I get that a lot. I'm looking to find my purpose. And if you've had that question come up, go ahead and put purpose in the chat. Sometimes I said it's relationships, sometimes it's all the other things. So that's kind of like the container. So that tonight this is open mic night, okay? Open mic night where you're able to put something in the chat. Let's talk about it. Let's kind of take it to a deeper level, and let's see how we can assist to get you from where you are to where you want to be. What you got, Rich?
Again, that's what I got. Hey, listen. So, majority of the women, I would love to get a whole lot of men. We're majority women. And, what I noticed since the whole pandemic is that people have really been sponges for information, and entertainment kind of took a back seat a little bit because people started living their purpose a little bit more, and I'm excited about that, because I'm one of those people that I listen. I'm a DJ, right? So I listen to music all the time, but now it's mostly information that I'm attracted to the information, and especially if it's good like this and it's free, I want to be a part of it. So where's you going to go and get a doctor to speak to you for an hour, in this case 2 hours, and just give you all this information and access? Take advantage of it. Ask questions. It could be any kind of questions. The cool thing is, hey, she's a physician, life coach, speaker. So you got double duo dynamic powers in the house, and dynamic powers online as well. So If we get it wrong, we got some folks in there that's waiting to get it right. So we got all the answers, intelligent audience, including two people that are actually doing the grassroots work.
Mm-hmm. So with that, I want to call something out into the open. Can I speak to the elephant in the room?
Who's the elephant?
I ain't say you.
I'm looking around. I'm in the studio. I don't see
the elephant.
What's the elephant?
The elephant is historically, particularly in rooms of color, we don't lean into seeking help because it has been received or thought of as a sign of weakness. Okay. And we struggle when we don't need to struggle, when we don't have to, maybe not need, when we don't have to struggle. And it's kind of like, like this that popped in my head was that song, Struggle Love, right? We haven't made it until we've had some struggle love. My position is that you don't have to struggle in everything. Some things are going to be a struggle, but you don't have to struggle. You know, some people struggle with procrastination. Some people struggle with, showing up powerful. Some people struggle raising their hand in a group, or telling somebody no. That's a common one. How do you tell somebody no when you're saying no on the inside, but you can't say yes out of your mouth, and you end up doing things that you don't want to do? And, the list goes on and on and on and on. Okay, so if you have heard that or felt that asking for help is a weakness, go ahead and put a 3 in the chat. Rich, I'm going to use your numerical system. Put 3 in the chat. Okay. All right, we already used up the 1s. We already done talked about the 2s. Now we into the 3s. Okay, if put 3 if you have felt, thought, or heard that asking for help, especially coaching, especially therapy. Now we can talk about the difference between therapy and coaching. I guess I can throw that one on to you, Richard. Let's go with that. What's the difference in your mind between therapy and coaching?
I think therapy is more of a problem solving technique. Therapy is more specific and in tune to getting you through variations of things like trauma, and they help you identify or bring forward some of the embedded issues in you. To me, it's more specific and more skilled. And I think coaching is, think of it as an athlete. You're already an athlete. Coaching kind of gives you more direction, more guidance, more focus into what it is that you're already doing or already have some sentiment of, or interest in. It's kind of like a guideline for helping you along the way and motivating you and helping you focus and become more better at what it is that you want to do. So that would be my layman's.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. And the other thing I want to say to add on to that, if you have let's say a Fortune 500 CEO, okay, they're going to have a coach. And what their coach is going to do is that coach is going to optimize what they're doing so that they can be more efficient, so that they can do more work in less time. They can make better decisions. And all of those things are going to add to their portfolio. It's going to add to their value to the company. So a lot of times we're thinking of coaching as fixing something that's negative. But the other way to think about it is elevating you in a more positive way so that you can increase the speed, you can increase the height, you can increase the trajectory, you can increase the spike of what you're doing next. And so I think it's I also, you started off your segment with talking about folks needing a coach, or I forgot how you said it, but my thing is I believe everybody needs a coach. Okay. And I think it's something that a lot of what we're going through, a lot of what we're doing as adults and fixing, and I say that word because I'll explain that later, fixing stuff that happened before or dealing with something that happened before earlier in life is because we did it alone. We made the mistakes. We went off script. We, didn't have anybody there. Whatever it is, we have made the mistakes that we are now trying to fix, correct, get over. But what if, I said this to myself all the time, what if I had somebody 20 years ago who could help steer me in a different direction? I would be a different person because of it. And why wait until a little later to address something that can be addressed a lot sooner?
That's a good point. Very good point. Very good point. So, you know, and this all falls up under the spectrum of self empowerment, self development, all that good stuff. And, going outside of your network, getting something different done. For example, when, this is a platform, this is a radio station, right? So I didn't have a whole lot of people that I could reach out to coach me about how to run such a platform. It may feel small, but it's a major network, and we're in most part of the U.S. in 7 countries, so it's a major undertaking. So I have to reach out to people that understand the language in my spectrum, that understand the pros and the cons and the challenges that I face being a CEO of a radio station. Because reaching to those who don't know what it's like, could be detrimental and discouraging. So on every level, I think everyone should seek some level of guidance or coaching. So it's like me reaching to across the field to a family member or friend, like, what do you think I need to do to be successful with this platform or this radio station? I have to caution myself, and those are some of the things I did in the very beginning. Is I seek counsel from those who were not at a place where the information could be as valuable, the encouragement could be valuable, the support could be valuable, but the coaching, you have to make sure that those who are coaching you are qualified in those areas where you feel like they can be an asset to you. Not everyone's going to be a good coach for you, but at the same time, you have to understand. That's why I started out speaking about those who have been through certain things that I'm going through makes better, suitable coaches for me, because I'm relatable. I'm very dynamic in things that I do, and I'm very intentional. So my personality is really A-type. So someone that coaches me can't necessarily be docile. You have to understand that I'm an A-type person, and I'm a get it done type person. So it should be a good match. But I'm just saying that to say that wherever you are and wherever you want to go, make sure you level up and you go towards the direction that it is that you want to go.
Yeah, what I'll add to that, one of the things that we also struggle with is having to find the perfect person, as opposed to finding the person who is perfect for you. And I think about it in terms of daycare, childcare. When you have small children and you're looking for that person to take care of your child, For women, I don't know how it is for men. You can speak to that. It is exhausting. It is we are so entangled with that person. Who's going to take care of my kid? Are they going to know when the runny nose is a cold versus, a allergies? Are they going to call me when something's wrong? Are they going to walk out of the room when the child needs you? Are they going to be able to hear? Are they going to take away all the sharp objects? Are they going to have I can go on and on. Okay. But what happens is that we sometimes don't act, right? You know what? I'll just quit my job. I'll just stay home for 2 years. Not because you not out of necessity, but, and not out of just a desire to do so, but sometimes we're just afraid that something's going to happen and you're going to get the wrong person. That's going to keep you in the house for 2 straight years because you're not going to trust anybody to help you. And then when you do step outside, you're not going to be able to handle it leaving a child. Okay. I've been through all of that, right? But when we talk about getting help, it can be somebody cleaning your house. You may have to just take a step out and trust that, and try somebody out. Okay. Let's just try it. See if you like it. Because that's the only way you're really going to know if it's a good fit. And if that doesn't work, it doesn't mean that coaching is bad. It's kind of saying that with a mentor. Just because you have a mentor that's a bad mentor, it doesn't mean you stop seeking mentors. No, it just means that, okay, you tried it, and now you have to move on to the next one. It's like trying on shoes. Okay, this size is too small. This size is too big. Okay, let's go to a half size. Okay, so you have to decide what it is you want, and then you take the steps to get there. Everything is not going to fall into place. Keep going.
Good point. Good point. Everything's not going to fall into place. So, to kind of pull it all in together, we're talking about self-development, self-empowerment, and how do you get to a level where it's conducive to you being the better version of yourself. And at some point, even coaches hire coaches, right? That happens. This is a real deal. Preachers go to other preachers, right? So people have places to go because they understand there's a next level, and there's some encouragement that you receive along the way from those who are relatable. If you cannot swim, then it's hard to be a swim coach. So you want
Yes.
someone
True.
that is very familiar with swimming, especially in the deep end, to be able to be the one to coach you if you're trying to learn how to swim. So I'm just basically encouraging you, wherever you are in your life and wherever you would like to be, understand the pivot or the exchange or the next level may all be in the hands of somebody that can pull you along. But you have to be intentional. What I noticed in my journey is that not many people of color, friends and family members, have ever been coached, consulted in that kind of manner. If they have been, it's been probably via professional sports or some type of organized gaming or something like that. But, for personal development, a lot of the things that I've experienced when I go to these events, I don't see a whole lot of people that look like me. And, but I've been hired to speak by many people that don't look like me. And I'm saying that to say that they, others understand the importance of the value of someone that has access to information, and it's very resourceful. They'll pay you for that information. But unfortunately, like I say, a lot of people that look like me don't sit in the audience. So what I'm trying to tell you, that there's no secrets. Don't let someone tell you there's secrets to success. The secrets is that you are the secret. But you got to be willing to invest and figure out what that next level is and find someone that can help you get there and don't look at it as a weakness, um, you know, tune in more, follow these shows, listen to what they have to say, you know, click the website, go to the next level, you know, partner with somebody. Don't just don't come here every Tuesday. I'm expecting you to grow, because if you're paying attention to what I'm doing, I'm never at the same place for a very long time because I'm constantly growing. This started out of my home, right? This is a 3-year thing, right? Started out of my home with a handful of listeners, into the studio, now into a restaurant, which I own. So I'm saying that to say that on each level, I had to seek some level of counsel as I move through, and that transition gets easier when it's with someone familiar. That's that's what I'm saying, and I would love to see some questions, of not just about entrepreneurship. We're just talking about just life in general. This is open mic night. This is an opportunity for you guys to ask any question. The worst question is the one that's never asked. And so many times I get off the air, Dr. Marcea, probably you too, all the questions come in after the air. Let's ask them because somebody else probably possessed the same questions. Make one up. Just throw something at us. Challenge us. Let's see how we handle it. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think yes. Sometimes we don't know we have a question, and I'm going to use one of your favorite words, which is being intentional. Okay, so I want everybody just to kind of think about what you've been thinking about, but haven't actually verbalized it. Like how that segment says, how does it work? What's behind all of this? And I think when we go there, now we're being more intentional about what questions that we do have. Where in our life are we missing an answer? One of the things I like to say is that I like to turn question marks into periods. And a lot of times that comes with someone just sharing where they are. And sometimes you can't find the question, but if you just share the situation, and then I can help kind of take you to the next place. And that's kind of like the conversation piece. You say something, I say something, and I know, Rich, you probably have that as well. I think we walk into coaching situations because we just say, hi, what's going on? How's it going? And then somebody says something and then we're like, okay, well, say more, and we say more when everyone else is saying say less.
That's big. That's big. That is big. I'm going to ask everyone a question. And I know this may affect most people because most folks that I know, how many folks are very confident in front of a camera and a microphone? Do me a favor. I'm going to go because I'm going to follow your number system. We haven't used 4, right? So put a 4 in the chat room if you are comfortable in front of a microphone or a camera. Put a 4. Put a 3 if you are not. And I'm going somewhere with this. And where I'm going with it is that I find that most people do not want to be center stage. Most people do not want to be on a microphone. So put a 4 if you're comfortable. Put a 4 if you're comfortable. In front of a camera, in front of a microphone, in front of an audience, put a 4. Put a 3 if you're not. And the reason why I say that, I remember being at a place where on the department that I work for, you have bully bosses, that's always bullying people, you don't want to be around them. You get those kind of leadership people. And then I remember being somewhere in a public space and it was packed. And they needed a representative from the force to speak on the behalf of the entire department. and I was with my bully boss. And that's when I realized they had a fear of public speaking. And there was so much anxiety. They didn't want to be on camera. They didn't want to speak. They didn't have the confidence. And I'm like, wow, all this time you've been bullying people and being mean and obnoxious and just all on people. And you have an opportunity to grab the mantle, but you want to pass it. And I took the microphone. Because I had been a DJ since childhood. So I love microphones from elementary school. But the moral of the story is that I believe that individual was very coachable. It's not like they didn't have the intel. It's not like they didn't have all the information that was required. They didn't have the confidence to take the microphone. They didn't have the confidence to be in front of the camera. But they were very coachable. So, as you said earlier, Dr. Marcea, it's the mindset. Are you willing to be coached? And, there was a different level of respect that was earned from me because I had been in front of people all my life, my childhood, and microphones was just like a pair of shoes to me. So, I'm saying that to say about those people that coach you. A lot of times we get caught up on certifications and we get caught up on all these different experiences and woola. But, a sixth grader is a subject matter expert to a second grader based on life experience. So my experience allowed me to be a subject matter expert in that moment. So that made me a coach in that particular moment. So don't overthink it. It's just a matter of reaching out to someone that knows a little bit, that has a little bit of experience, that can kind of help you navigate. But in that moment is when I found an opportunity to be a coach. I didn't ridicule. I didn't go back and say anything negative, and I didn't spill the beans, but I did have a conversation with that person and say, I can help you. I can coach you, because from the position that you're in, you're going to be required to speak publicly, and I can walk you through it. So, don't overthink it. It is something as simple as just asking questions. And a lot of people don't publicly ask questions. But the one with the courage that asks the question answers the question for everyone else that don't have the courage to ask the question. So just think about that. You may be the missing piece or the missing link to someone else's question unanswered.
Mm-hmm. Love that. So we have a question in the chat. You ready for the question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it to you, and then I'll also give an answer. Okay.
Okay.
So this is Linda, and she says, for planners or people who become stuck in the planning phase, can you please provide some practical tips or steps to them to recover from failure?
This is for planners that get stuck. So the end part is how to get through the failure. So that means that you've tried to plan something, got stuck or failed at it. Is that?
I think that, yeah, go with that.
Okay, so I'm going to go with that. So the thing is that if you're planning something, a lot of times it manifests in your head before it actually self-actualizes, right? So in that process, the idea of what you think is possible is very possible. Sometimes your energy needs to match your desires. But if you're planning something along the way, understand anytime you're planning something and it involves human beings, there's going to be a lot of pivoting. There's going to be a lot of fluidness. So if you've gotten to the point where you're working on something or you're trying to work through something and you feel like you have failed, this is the true indicator that you can succeed. It's how you respond to it. So adversity introduces a person to themselves. Those who really, really want to succeed at it don't walk away from it. You find a way to win. And what I do is, my recommendation is to reset, but not just reset in actual action, reset your mind. Reset the way that you look at it. Take what was good from what you did. Relinquish the mistakes that were made along the way and get right back out there. The worst thing you can do, like a child, when the child begins to walk and they fall, and you pick them up and you never give them an opportunity to walk and fall again, you've got to continue to move forward. You got to continue to move forward. So in short, my thing is acknowledge what you did right. Make the decision not to quit. Reset. Reset the way that you think and go back at it with a new mindset. And sometimes you may have to involve a different method and a different way of doing things. And one more thing, let me give you an example. I know a lot about planning because I'm in a production world. And planners are visual people. You have to be the person that you believe that you are. And if it requires you to get into character, become the person that you want to be seen as and be relentless in that. And failure doesn't put you at zero. True failure never get past starting. I'm going to say that again. True failure never get past starting. So if you start at something, I don't care where it ends for you, it's not a failure. You take the percentage of where you started. Even if you only make it halfway, you take that positive 50%. And now you are 50% from where you were. So all you have is the other 50% to get to be successful. So you take what you want in your planning phase and you take that percentage to your next event. Reset your mind and take that percentage with you and get to the finish line.
All right, great answer. And so I'm going to answer the same question and just kind of maybe just say it differently. And because, Linda, you are a planner, that's how your mind is how it's set. And so there is that belief that if I plan it, it's going to go the way that is set. And what Rich said, sometimes there's going to be some detours. However, the thought I'm going to leave you with is, who decided that it was a failure? And if we change the mindset to say, okay, if you're trying to start here and get to here, and as Rich said, you got 50%. What if we change the thought and said anything beyond zero was a success? Okay? Or better yet, even if we thought it was failure, it's not failure, but it's feedback. It's failure and not feedback. Now we can go and tweak it and go the rest of the way. And I have a business of medicine certification from Johns Hopkins. And one of the things that was core in that training, there's a process called Plan, Do, Study, Act. Okay, Plan, Do, Study, Act, and it's a circle. And so you plan, and then you do, then you study the results, and then you take some action, and then you go around again. And so each time you go around, you're going to get closer and closer to the finish line. But it isn't a one cycle process. Some things are multiple cycles. And each time you go in your car in because you heard a noise. They go in, they're going to see if they can fix it, but they don't hear the noise. So you go home. You come back again because you hear the noise again, and now it's given a tinkling, or now the light is on. So now they go and look at it again. They're like, you know what? I think we have it lit. You take it back home. They're like, you know what? Now it's still something's wrong. Now when you go back in, because they've looked at this, they looked at that. Now they're saying, you know what? Now it only can be one thing. Now they replace that part, and now you're off to the races. Okay, so it's not failure; it's just feedback.
There you go. That is. Listen, those two answers. I'm telling you, it gets you there. Great question, Linda. We probably answered that question for so many people besides yourself. But thanks for being courageous enough to ask that question. I want to pause for a second just to acknowledge, because the question was if you have a fear of speaking publicly on video in front of a microphone. There's a couple of threes in here. Veronica, thank you for being courageous. Evelyn, Ronnie, music, and who else in there that put three? That's pretty much it. And then Marie says, I'm new at this, Richard, but I'm a four. She like music, but I can't sing a lick. Yeah, so yeah, for those folks that and the reason I brought that question up again is that everything is coachable for everyone if you're willing to be coached, and that's a mindset thing. So thanks for that question. Are there any more questions that we have?
Yes, there is a question. Another question. Courtney, she says, if you could instill one piece of advice in someone's mind, what would it be?
Okay, one piece.
One piece.
That the mind, what I know about my mind now, I learned at a much later age. Not that I'm old, but I learned as I matured, is that your mind is far more resilient than your body. Your mind is the most powerful tool that you have. And I know you hear a lot about the cliches about mindset and this and that, and it sounds so, cliches, and we hear it so much. But if you really take an opportunity to think about the power of your mind, I'm going to give you an example. We all have visions, and we're all given dreams individually. And we all see ourselves in places, and we all see ourselves doing things that we're not actually doing. And that is the mind telling you what you can do. But a lot of times we suppress our minds because it appears to be so radical of the vision that has been given to us. So my mind told me that I would speak before thousands of people. The fact that I didn't turn that down, I spoke. Inexperienced, no formal training. I was able to be in other countries speaking before thousands of people. My mind saw it before it actually happened. The point of the matter is, if you can just lean a little bit more, the question is, what advice would I leave you? Lean more into the positive side of your mind and what it shows you it could do. You'll be amazed if you focus on what your mind is telling you positively that can be done. And sometimes it's so radical, it doesn't appear to be possible. Giving you example, another one, and I'm going to let Dr. Marcea take it. When COVID hit, everything I was involved with came to a complete stop. But my mind said that you're going to be heard by thousands. And I had no idea what that looked like. So I went into my garage and I got some equipment and I started streaming. And I'm being heard by thousands. Not only in my country, but 7 others. Because I leaned into the resilience of my mind and I knew it was possible. So your mind, if you can control it and not let it play tricks or games with you, believe in what is showing you is possible. Your mind is more resilient than you can imagine. And that's why we have to keep that thing in check. Because if you have a resilient mind, the rest will follow. Hopefully, that advice was good enough for
you. Thanks, Rich. So great advice, great nuggets. And there are so many. First of all, thank you, Courtney, for the question. There are so many pieces of thoughts that I could drop right now, but I'm going to the thing I'm going to share. It goes back to the what is it? The college fund. I can't remember what it's called, but a mind is a terrible thing to waste. What was that?
Yes.
Well, what was the organization? It was the college fund.
Was it Lou Rawls?
I don't know. Anyway, somebody put in the chat. Help us out here. Google it.
Yeah, we need Daryl. We need Daryl. We need Daryl for this one.
Daryl. Okay, he's in here somewhere. I don't think he dropped off. And the mind can help you or it can hurt you. Okay, your mind can help you or it can hurt you. Think about you being chased by a bear. Okay, if you're physically being chased by a bear, your endorphins check in, your fight or flight. Okay, but if you think that a bear is chasing you, your body goes through the same physiologic changes. So it can help you or it can hurt you. And Rich mentioned about mind control. Think of your mind like a toddler, a 2-year-old. Would you take that 2-year-old into a grocery store and leave him or her unattended in the cart? And so you're in the produce aisle and you go over to the meat department to pick up some steak. Would anybody in the chat put yes if you would leave your child? And I know the answer already. The answer is no. You would not leave a toddler unattended. And just like that, we cannot leave our brains, our minds unattended, because it is going to, it's called a negative vacuum. When the brain wants to pull in negativity just because of this vacuum theory, we have to be diligent. We have to be intentional. We have to, on purpose, flood our mind with positivity. Or if not, we are letting the toddler run around the store, pulling things down, causing havoc, okay, having us thinking that a bear is chasing us at all times. So we have to control the mind, and when we don't, that mind is a terrible thing to waste.
It's called, that's a very good advice. And Linda said it's called the United Negro College Fund.
Yes, thank you, Linda.
Linda's smart. By the way, Linda is going to be one of our personalities. Welcome, Linda.
Oh, awesome. Hello, Linda. Welcome.
Yes. Linda's very smart. So, hey, that's the power of networking, right? We can ask these questions and throw them out there, someone out there is going to be able to answer those questions, and that's the power of networking. We can get it all done right here on this platform, by growing this platform and having others take part in what we're doing. We have Dr. Marcea, myself, a CEO and entrepreneur, and between us and everyone else that's a part of this network, we can do some amazing things. But not only that, we have access to a whole lot of resources and information.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do as we get ready to close, I wanted to share an opportunity. So we talked about self-development, and we have talked about coaching. We've talked about mentorship. We've talked about getting into different rooms. And there's an opportunity that for my Info Bloom Health and Life Coaching is an opportunity that launched today. We just opened up the doors, and it's an opportunity for women who are taking over the world, who are on fire. It's called Girl on Fire, the Girl Boss Experience. And when I talk about a girl boss, I believe that every strong woman is powered by the girl boss inside, okay, who is strong, who is tenacious, who is powerful. And somewhere along the line, that bossness sometimes gets dull. And this opportunity is a way for us to get into bigger rooms. Sometimes we are on fire, but sometimes we are consumed. Sometimes we are burned out. Sometimes we have lost our focus. Sometimes we're in all different directions. And this is a 2-day conference that's coming to the DMV area, which is at DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, November 10th and 11th. And we're going to do 3 things. We're going to reset. Okay, we're going to reset the room. Okay, we're going to let things settle to see where we are. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to recharge our passion. We're going to recharge, rekindle that flame. Figure out what our purpose is. Figure out what direction we're going in. Figure out what's working, what's not. But then we're going to reignite. That's the thing. That's the power. We're going to come together. We're going to network. We're going to pull together. We're going to have some powerful speakers, including myself. And we're going to be pouring into the women who are coming. We have some 6- and 7-figure women who will be in the room. Okay? This is not just for entrepreneurs, but it's for what I'm going to call lifepreneurs, people who are wanting, who are seeking to get better in every aspect of their life. As I said, the tickets are on sale. You can go to my website, www.drmarcea.com, and I'm going to ask if Courtney can put the link in. There's a direct link directly to the site that has all the information. Would love to have you. It's going to be a private location. It is going to be a intimate setting. Food is included. We've got networking. We've got some other opportunities in the room that I can't tell you yet. Okay, there's going to be some surprises. There's also the VIP experience. So go ahead and click the link, check us out, and let me know if you have questions. Would love to see you here in the DMV. So, Rich, I'm going to throw it back to you before we close out. Tell me something that you wish you had known in a younger time period that would have helped you today.
Ooh, that's a good question. Man, that's a whole show right there. I wish that I would have known that I was an expert at making lemonade. And the reason why I say that is because every junction of my life that was painful, I made lemonade. Quick story, as a young man, I was abused by police, 12 gauge shotgun to the head. Trauma. Young man, never seen the gun. I became one of the most decorated police officers in Miami-Dade County. Lemonade. Another quick example. Thriving business owner, doing well. Pandemic hit. My life stopped. I started this podcast, this radio station. Thousands of followers. The lemon was the pandemic. The lemonade is what I made from it. So I wish that I knew from a young age that I had the ability to make lemonade, because I had been making it all my life. But if someone would have coached me and say, you have something, because you know how to make bitter things sweet. So if I knew earlier how to control my mindset, I would have so many lemonade stands. That's what I would have done different.
Yeah, making lemonade out of lemons. Yeah,
So let me throw
that's
that
good.
question. Let me throw that question back to you. Same question.
hmm So the question is, what did I wish I had learned earlier? And this is one of my favorite, I guess you can call them affirmations, I call them beliefs, is that I can create my experience in the world. Okay? I get to create my experience in the world. And when I realized that, it kind of, you know what, Rich, we've been having similar kind of responses, right? I just said it differently than he did. He said he'd make a lemonade out of lemons. Okay, I said I'm going to create my experience. So whatever happens, whatever situation is before me, I can now change it to the experience that I want to have. I can add some sugar to it. You know what? I can add some other flavor. I can change what container it's in, a pitcher or a glass or a mug. I can add some ice to it. I can sell the lemonade. I can package the lemonade and sell it like that. I can sell the recipe. I can franchise it. I can do all of the things, because you can give me lemons, but I can change it into whatever. I can even go to the store and exchange the lemons for oranges. Okay? When we have choices, that now expands our life. Okay? It isn't just black or white. There are so many other colors in the spectrum that we can choose. When we feel limited, that's when we feel like it has to be yes or no, and it restricts us. And that's what causes us to feel like we are boxed in, because we feel like we don't have choices. So decide you have choices. Decide you can create your own experience. When I say that thing, it opens up my head, my mind. It's like the thing just kind of blew open. You know how with those shows where the top lid of the car flips up, whatever. All of a sudden, the heavens have opened, and I can now determine what my experience is going to be. I can't control other people, but I can control what I do, what I say, where I go, and the experience that I have.
Nice. So with that, I think that's a nugget that we can all take with us at every juncture of your life. If you've experienced some level of abuse, if you felt abandoned, if you felt, discarded, if you've been mistreated, if you've had tragedy, trauma, if you've been diagnosed with something, if you lost someone, if you've had some significant things or are currently experiencing something significant, and it is very, very discontent for you, and it's very uncomfortable, what you have is lemons. you can make with it is the world's greatest lemonade. I'm telling you, if you're in something and you feel stuck, think about the juice that it can create. Think about everything that you've been through. This is why we're seeing more authors. This is why we're seeing more lifestyle documentary type movies. This is why we have so many coaches, and this is why we have so many speakers, because the true value of everything that you've been through can result in lemonade, and people will drink it. Because if you can tell a story, if you can tell your story, because your story is constantly creating itself. Every day is a page. Every month, every year is a chapter. If you can tell your story, it probably would have a lot of lemons in it. Get to the point where you can actually extract your story, make your ebook, write your book, do your documentary, be a storyteller, make it lemonade. I promise you, I will buy a cup for me and several others. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Make your lemonade.
Yes, make your lemonade. I love that. Thanks for closing with those thoughts. For those that are not in the chat and you are listening by radio waves, visit the link is here. I'm going to say it so you can get it. It's www.drmarceaevents.com. I think that's a / Girl on a Fire. I look forward to getting to know you, having you in the DMV. And until next week, I will see you then. Go ahead and catch Rich live tomorrow morning on Bridget's podcast, as well as I look forward to hearing more about the opportunity that Linda is coming. She's bringing to the MSE network and some of the other changes that are happening. I can't wait to see what happens next. Stay tuned. Okay, take care.
Till the next time. See you guys.